1 in 5 people that have been released from Guantanamo have gotten involved in terrorist activities. At least. That's what we can measure. Well, that obviously was a mistake. What he should be doing is following the right things that Bush did. One of the right things he did was treat this as a war on terror. We had no domestic attacks under Bush. We've had one under Obama.
And it wouldn't be that hard to question Mr. Giuliani's math if you really get down to it. Maybe he was talking about post 9/11, but even then it may be a strained argument. We're joined now from the White House lawn by ABC's Jake Tapper, scrambled to get in after our late cancellation, and we appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for saving our backsides, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Anytime.
So, Jake, I understand you've been in touch with, or tried to get in touch with Rudy Giuliani's folks this morning. Any luck?
Yeah, Maria Camella, who was a spokesman for Giuliani during his presidential campaign, got back to me today. He said that there's a fuller explanation of what he meant on Morning Joe, but the bottom line is he was clearly talking post 9/11 with regards to Islamic terrorist attacks on our soil. So I suppose he misspoke. He meant to say post 9/11, and I think he must have then been talking about the alleged Fort Hood shooter, Major Nidal Hasan, because Richard Reed would have come after 9/11 in the Bush administration. But I just got this email, so I will call her and I will let you know.
Richard Reed, though, was over the ocean at the time. If that
doesn't count on
if that
soil,
helps at all.
Sure. Jake.
By the way, can I just show you something? Did you see these gloves I got? This is
Very cool.
This is for BlackBerry nerds, so you can BlackBerry in the winter.
Is that actually how they market those gloves for BlackBerry users?
Well, they might be for sailors, but.
Okay. Excellent. Nice gloves, Jake. I want to ask about the president's remarks yesterday, and I want to sort of get your take on where you think the White House is on this. I know that they're trying to draw a contrast with Bush by showing how candid they put out this report, warts and all. But like I said at the top, he did say that he screwed up with Tom Daschle. There are other examples where he said, I take responsibility. Yesterday, it was the buck stops here. At a certain point, is there a concern on their part that the country says, well, wait a second, if it's all in your hands and your fault and you're responsible and things still aren't going right, that's a problem?
Well, I think they're going to get that blame anyway. I mean, the president always gets blamed for the economy. He always gets blamed for if there's a terrorist attack. So I think they figure that the contrast with the previous president will be helpful, although as Karen Travers points out, ABC News producer Karen Travers points out, George Bush did a couple times during his presidency accept responsibility, once for the bad response to Hurricane Katrina, another time for things not going well in Iraq. But generally, he was not seen as somebody who accepted the mantle of contrition as much as President Obama. So I think they figure it's going to happen anyway. This is who President Obama is. He will accept responsibility and try to move on, and the American people are grown-ups and they'll accept that.
And Jake, the president will be speaking this afternoon on the economy. Obviously, first Friday of every month, we get these jobs numbers. It's now more than 2 years since we've had any positive numbers at all. How disappointed?
Well, November was revised.
Revised, that's right. And I'm sure we'll hear that from President Obama today. How disappointed do you think the White House is in this? And what do you make of the public relations strategy of going out there and trying to tell people, yes, we're engaged, we're involved in this?
Well, I think that they have wanted to talk about jobs, and it's like every 3 weeks we're told, now the administration's going to talk about jobs. He's doing a hard pivot. Every 3 weeks there's a story in Politico about how the president's going to make his hard pivot and talk about jobs, and then he gets distracted by healthcare reform or by counterterrorism or by Afghanistan. So yet again, we have a hard pivot, and he's going to talk about jobs. There is, as you noted, Kristi Romer, the economic advisor for the president today, said that this is not going to be a straight line. There are going to be ups and downs. And she also said that you shouldn't read too much into jobs numbers one way or another, whether they're positive or going in the right direction or negative going in the wrong direction. But of course, that was slightly different than the message we got a month ago when the jobs numbers shrank, the job loss numbers shrank considerably, and President Obama was out there, I believe in Allentown, Pennsylvania, talking about how after Kristi Romer gave him those numbers, he gave her 5 hugs or something like that. So, I mean, I think that they want to be optimistic. At the same time, they don't want to set expectations too high. It's a very difficult line to walk.
All at the same time, all the Republicans are eager to make hay with it. But Jake,
the Republicans want to act as if this job losses started on January 20th,
right,
2009.
Let me quickly, before we let you go in our last 30 seconds here, I want to ask you about health care. Reports this week, the president clearly trying to do some shuttle negotiations here, bringing in House people, bringing in Senate folks, and trying to hammer out the final deal here before State of the Union. he's clearly now endorsed the Cadillac tax, and that is not okay yet, it seems, with Labor and the House. Is the White House concerned that there's going to be massive blowback, or no, they're okay, they're going to steamroll the House, and that'll be just fine?
I think that they're concerned about any chink in the armor here, about any problem they're having, and the Cadillac tax is one of the few ones that the president has made his position very clear on. So I think the fact that he's made it so clear means that they're more confident about that one.
All right, a fashion-forward Jake Tapper, our senior White House correspondent. Thanks for being here.
With the thinner.
The gloves, yeah, you got it. Yeah. Thanks, Jake. Have a good weekend. That does it for this edition of Top Line, but be sure to tune in on Sunday morning this week with George Stephanopoulos, Christina Romer. We were just talking about her White House economic advisor.
And it's twitter.com/thenote if you want to keep the conversation going through the weekend.